Hello, I'm Jessica Giles, Director of the Project on Interdisciplinary Law and Religion Studies and a Central Academic in the Open University's Law School. Welcome to our Text and Context series, where we will explore approaches to current issues within various faith traditions that make up our multicultural society. The aim is to help articulate and explore the principles that might underpin our approaches to public life, both national and international, and to our approaches to law creation and adjudication. We're incredibly fortunate to have with us Dr. Sarah Schneider, a world expert in the field of scriptural reasoning. Dr. Schneider, can you tell us about yourself, about scriptural reasoning, and how you became involved in it, and what we expect in this series?
Thank you so much, Jessica. And you take me straight back to the Sahara Desert when I was probably 21. I was newly married. I'd trained as an anthropologist, and my husband and I were living and working with the Tuareg nomads, and they were Muslim. And I'd grown up in a Christian, fairly conservative Christian community. And I'd actually learned that even Roman Catholics were slightly off the edge, let alone Muslims. And here I was living and working amongst Muslims in a completely different part of the world who prayed like nobody else I'd witnessed and who lived their life faithfully according to the principles that God shared with them through the Quran. So that was actually my first experience of scriptural reasoning, where we would share a little bit from the Bible, they would share a little bit from the Quran. We would even discuss topics like where the stars came from, as well as what it means to have multiple grains of sand. And then, as we discovered in reality, what it means to be at the heart of war, at the heart of conflict, at the heart of fights over access to water or over the treatment of cattle, for example, and then over the response of the government to a need to settle a people whose very lifestyle depended on living in a fragile environment and moving regularly with their animals. So that was my first experience of scriptural reasoning right out in the field. And it led me actually to want to know more about Islam and ultimately more about Judaism and joining the Cambridge Interfaith program back at home at Cambridge University and discovering an academic practice that sought to do something very similar, to learn from one another's text traditions, and to do that not by putting our faith hat or faith coat at the door, as it were, but by bringing our whole selves into the space. So that's the story of scriptural reasoning, and I'm so thrilled to be welcoming you all to Texts and Contexts, which is a new Open University podcast in association with Rose Castle Foundation. And we really are focusing on this increasingly popular interfaith practice called scriptural reasoning. I'm founding director of Rose Castle Foundation, and we're committed to equipping tomorrow's leaders today to cross societal divides, to navigate change and chaos and conflict. I've spent many years as a mediator in situations of violent conflict, almost always in contexts where religious belief plays a primary role, both as a cause of violence, but also, more importantly, as a source for peace. I've been practicing scriptural reasoning for many years in communities right across the world. And actually, the academic practice of scriptural reasoning began probably about 30 years ago, before my experience, among Jews, Christians, and Muslims, before then spreading around the world with people of all faiths and people of no faith. We have seen scriptural reasoning thrive in hospitals, in prisons, in universities, in schools, in places of work and places of worship. But until now, it has never been formatted for a broadcast version. So that's really exciting today. And throughout this series, we're going to be using traditional and sacred scriptures, initially from the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim faiths, and then hopefully beyond those also. We really want to shed light on contemporary challenges, issues that we're all grappling with and thinking about today. In each episode, we're going to invite representatives from different faith traditions to introduce and share a sacred text on the theme in question. And then we will host an open discussion. And that discussion is built on questioning and on respect and on a deep curiosity to learn more about one another's traditions and how they shed light on the issue today. We are not going to shy away from any issues. We can talk about artificial intelligence. We can talk about what the Torah offers in terms of just war. We can ask what the Quran says about climate crisis. We can even talk about parenting. We can talk about anything because the scriptures, of course, open up the whole of life to us. And I just want to share with you the many friendships that emerge out of this practice across faith boundaries, across societal boundaries, and really the invitation to join us in showing this curiosity and asking questions and joining a space that you don't find in the supermarket or on the street corner. It needs to be well facilitated, but it's a space where we are able to learn deeply from one another's faith traditions as well as one another's own encounters with those traditions.